Shalom, shalom. I want to begin by giving a praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Kakadash. Double honors to the elders and to the apostles of Great Millstone, and enough respect to the brothers that are out there pushing and spreading the truth, which is the gospel of Yahweh Bahashem Yahshai to the focus of the world. Now, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem Yahshai, I want to continue the lesson that I started off, which is Unrighteous Decrees. And it's based on a book called You Have the Right to Remain Innocent. So, before we begin, I just want to do a quick recap. The previous video was just about how, the laws of this land are, too, too many of them, tens of thousands of them, uh, actually too many, so many that even the federal and the state government have lost track of them. They don't even know how many laws there are. And another point was that even if you had all the time in the world, right, and you go to the law libraries and you try to read you try to read of all the laws, you won't find them because they are not actually. It's sort of like you have to go on a scavenger hunt to actually find uh, um, the laws that you have to actually go on a scavenger hunt to actually find all the laws, criminal laws, so to speak, to be safe. And so it seems as though the the laws are not written for the sake of morality, but in fact, they are written and made in a way. They are written and made vaguely enough to make it easier, okay, for the government um, to prey upon the common man. All right. So that was the whole gist of the previous video. If you want more information on it and some examples in it, there was some in there, but let's get right into it and um, bring out this more information on that. But the second part of this that we're going to focus on is basically about the centurions, whom today you will call the police, how they lie in interrogation. Whenever they're doing an investigation and they find someone they suspect to be, the criminal, they lie to him. Okay, they prevent false information, they mislead him, they goad him into making certain sentences that they will use to later incriminate him. So all these things are set in place, and the people who are mostly hurt from this are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who are the true Israelites that are mentioned of in the Bible. All right. So before we get into it again, um, I'm gonna first read our precept, and then because there's a lot of information on the book, I'm just gonna read through the book. So first precept is Psalms chapter 50, verse verse 19. It says, "Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue framest what? Framest deceit. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, thy slanderest thine own mother's son." Esau, right? Against Jacob. Um, Psalm chapter 64, starting from verse 2, it says, "Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword, and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him, and fear not." Okay? They encourage themselves in an evil matter, they commune of laying snares privily. They say, "Who shall see them?" They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both inward, um, both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep. All right. Another precept. It says, Psalm chapter 140, starting from verse 1. It says, "The Psalm of David, deliver me, O Lord, from the evil man, preserve me from the violent man," which is Esau Edom, "which imagine mischiefs in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war. They sharpen their tongue like a serpent. Addis poison is under their lips." Okay. Let's see. Yeah. So that's it on that. And then just bring out Proverbs. Right. Proverbs chapter 6, starting from verse 16. It says, "These things does the Lord Yahweh hate, Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, which is Esau Edom. He's a very proud man. A lying tongue, Esau Edom, which we're gonna get evidence of that. And it says, and hands that shed innocent blood, Esau Edom. Okay, so let's get right into it. Let me position it. Just set up the camera real quick. Salakia. Let me just get this. All right. So more on that. Let me bring it. So it says one of the worst things about talking to the police, as we will see, is the fact that our legal system permits and even encourages the police to lie to you in ways that are absolutely shocking and to use all sorts of grotesque deceptions, all right, if that is what it takes to get you to waive your rights to remain silent. The police are well aware that many of us harbor the mistaken assumption that they are even our friends, but the truth is that you cannot safely trust a single thing a police officer says when they are trying to get you to answer their questions, and that is true. All right, and a lot of Jacob fallen victim to this because what, like the scripture says, because of lack of knowledge, my people are destroyed. A lot of people don't know this. All right, um, and then he goes on trying to defend them and all that, but it says far too many ignorant American citizens naturally assume that there must be some kind of legal oversight of police interrogations. After all, we all know that car salespeople and even shoe salespeople are obliged to be straight with you when they are trying to what? Enter into a transaction involving only money, and they can be prosecuted or sued if they are what? If they are caught using intentional deceptions to defraud you into giving up merely $20. That's right. You know, but here it is. These men are free to lie to a man, right, and take away his freedom for the rest of his life. You know, even send him on death row. This is the kind of things that makes me believe that they already have things in place, to persecute us, right? And that the only reason why things are not popping off immediately right now, at its highest point, is that the Most High has calmed these Edomites down, and the Most High has restrained things for now. Okay, these devils, they've been working on their new world order for a long time. You know, they already have things in place. That's why you can't afford to uh, um, procrastinate to be serious in this truth. That's why you can't put off this truth, man. That's why when you hear this truth, get into it, man. Immerse yourself into it, because time is running short. Um, it says, so it stands to reason innocent people frequently assume that there must be some similar rules restricting the ability of the police to trick you into giving up your most precious constitutional rights. I will not blame you for thinking such a thing, but you would be dead wrong. The rampant use of dishonesty and deception by the police is a serious threat to the administration of justice. Right? To the administration of let's see. Yeah, to the administration of justice in what? In two different ways. First of all, it is of course one of the most powerful ways to persuade even innocent people to make a false confession, as we shall see. But it also has more insidious effects as well, because even if police do not use deceptions to persuade you to make an outright confession, they might persuade you to give them a bit of information that can later be used against you in front of a jury. Right. Hey man, yo, these men, they pervert justice. They're not interested in truth. They're not interested in vindication, man. All they care about is making their case stick. All they care about is what? Is getting as much arrest records as possible, getting as much incarcerations as possible, because that numbers helps them in their career, and they advance because what? Because of money. Because they're heartless, man. That's why you see on the news somebody's been to jail for 50 years, for 20 years, and all they're gonna do is give him a fucking interview, and $3 million. It says they will lie to you, but here it is: while you were in jail, and then them making free money off your labor, they made a hell of a lot, like 100 times more than that. They will lie to you about what crime they're actually investigating, whether they regard you as a suspect, whether they plan to prosecute you, what evidence they have against you, whether your answers may help you, whether your statements are off the record, and whether other witnesses, right, agree to talk to them. So they have what they lie to you, man. Sometimes they come to you, and they'll be like, we have some sources about you and this and that, but in truth, there is no source about you. There is nothing. They have no reason to come to question you about anything, you know. But they are liars, you know. Sometimes they hear of a crime, and all the victim did was give a generic description of who the perpetrator was, and then they see you, and then but it's not enough to what it's not enough to find out who actually committed the crime. So they find somebody who meets that profile. They put his ass in the interrogation room. They coerce him, right, and then they break him, and then they trick him. Oh, we just want to ask a few questions. You just want to ask you. Don't worry. There ain't nothing going on, you know. Which in fact you should always worry when a police officer comes to you about an investigation. There is nothing light about it, man. Do never underestimate the cunningness of Esau Edom. Never underestimate his brutality. This man will send you to these. They like these men will send you to jail for 50 years, and then that same night sleep like a baby. Like the famous comedian Earthquake, he was like, these judges, they pass out sentences like it's minutes, you know. um One time, I've this coworker that I used to work with, he was like, he got he got arrested for how he was driving, and long story short, his bill was $50, and then the guy was like, "Yo, I have the money in my pocket. You don't gotta let me go. You don't have to put no faith in me. It's right in my pocket. Just get it, I'm gonna get it for you." And I'm giving. Nah, they told him not. They put him in jail, and he stayed there for 3 months, man. Because all his family were traveled outside the United States, man, and he stayed in there for months over $50. It says that is just a partial list. The bottom line is plain. You cannot safely trust a single word that you hear from the mouth of a police officer who's trying to get you to talk. The police may even lie to you about whether your loved ones are dead or alive. In 2004, Illinois police officer called to investigate the disappearance of a 3-year-old girl uh, of a 3-year-old girl mistakenly thought her father might be a suspect. Under the pretense that they were looking for the parents' help in locating the girl, they invited the parents to the station and questioned them for an hour before they finally told the parents that her dead body had already been found, even before they asked the parents to come down to the stations. If you are being questioned by the police and trying to decide what your next move ought to be, you need to proceed on the assumption that everything you think you know about the investigation is a lie, and that you know absolutely nothing for sure about what is going on outside that room. That's right. You know, they came to him acting like they're trying to. His daughter is just missing. They're trying to find him. But in actuality, they were trying to see if the man can give out information, uh, um, that they could use to that they could use to trap him. She was already dead. All you had to do was go to parents and tell them, "Yo, we found her dead body here and here and there." But they trying to trick him. Says, let me give you a few examples of how easily the police can use outrageous forms of deception to get almost anyone, including innocent people, to make an outright confession, or at least to give the police a statement that can be used to help convict them. In 2008, just 2 days after her infant son suffocated, Trung, a 16-year-old girl, was interrogated for 2 hours by police officers. She was young and unusually vulnerable, having recently experienced both the birth, right? So like, yeah. The birth and death of her infant son. At first, like most innocent people, that she denied her guilt repeatedly, and the police officers, as it turned out, actually had no evidence that anyone had killed her child, or that the death was a result of anything other than natural causes. But the officers aggressively questioned her for hours, intentionally misrepresenting that they could prove someone had killed them, and she had probably done it. In an effort to break her down and talk her into admission that she had smothered her son, the police lied to her and told her that they wanted to help her, and that if she confessed, they would keep her case in a juvenile system where punishment is minimal, if any. Let's say there is any. They made an explicit promise that she would face nothing more than minimum punishment, even though they never had such intentions, you know? Hey, like the scripture says, where his worth is smoother than butter, but inward, you know, in his heart, man, it's just, yo, he's a beast. That is his nature. He's a predator, man. When she finally broke down sobbing, and admitted that she had killed her son, she was promptly arrested and charged as an adult with murder. She was held in jail for nearly 3 years before the charges were dropped based on lack of evidence of wrongdoing and the judge's conclusion that her confession had been a conduct of illegal interrogation. Now, unlike most of the other cases to follow, she was one of the lucky ones, at least in the sentence that her confession was overthrown out of court before she was convicted, although not until after she had spent 3 years in jail. Now, this is a happy ending, believe it or not, because as we go on, if you actually get into this book, you're gonna find out that there were many people just like her, except their confession under these circumstances when she was strict, under circumstances where they were tricking to making confessions, were not thrown out of jail. People took it seriously, you know, and then people were killed because of that, you know. One of the worst forms of deceptions involves implied promises that statement will not be used, right, against a suspect, or that they will not be prosecuted because such promises obviously carry the greatest potential for persuading even an innocent person to tell the police what they want to hear, right? You know, they always promise to help you, but nah, man, these men, they ain't interested in helping you. That's not what they're there for. Another example says in Illinois, a criminal suspect named Calvin Montgomery was tricked into talking to federal agents with similar deceptions. After he exhibited some initial reluctance to talk to the agents at all, they deceived him into giving up his rights by making a general offer for some sort of unspecified help. When Montgomery pleaded with the agents, "Can't you just help me?" The agents replied, "I'm helping you more than you know." After Montgomery agreed to talk and gave information that would be used to help convict him, he was then prosecuted, and the government tried to use that statement against him. When a federal judge asked the agent what the agent meant by that promise of help, The agent later testified that he meant to say that he was helping Montgomery by bringing charges against you, against these devils, man. Yo, he was helping him by bringing charges against him. If Montgomery took advantage of the substance abuse treatments and vocational training available to him in prison, he will be able to turn his life around. But he never explained that to the suspect, of course, who obviously had no idea that the agents was actually offering to help by putting him in jail, right? By putting him in prison. Let's see. Um, it says in the same case, the agent also told the defendant, well, if you get time, you're not going to get 10 years. That promise, as it turned out, was true in a perverse way, because Montgomery was eventually convicted and sentenced to more than 15 years in prison. But that fact did not what trouble the federal courts either, you know? It says, as we can see from all other cases, promise from the police to give you help is the most useless and worthless promise you would ever receive from anyone in your life. And the courts will laugh and look the other way when the police walk away from that promise without giving you the slightest help in any way. In perhaps the most extreme case of all, one man facing charges of capital murder agreed to talk to the police after they told him that it would be better for him to cooperate with the authorities. And you see how these people are always so vague. They never how do I think, they're never clear as to what they mean when they make promises. It's always vague, you know. He says he took their word for it, gave them some information that was later used to prosecute and convict him, and he was sentenced to death. It is difficult for any open-minded observer to see what kind of help he received in exchange for his cooperation with the police. If the police help you out by helping you get the death penalty, you might fairly wonder, what is the worst alternative if I don't agree to talk? That's it, you know? Let's get that right now. Hey man, these want to make sure I'm not missing any. Let's see. It's lucky. I think I trying to find which. All right, yeah. It says the use of dishonesty and trickery by the police always poses a risk of serious injustice, even if it does not cause an innocent person to confess altogether, and even if it only gets him or her to talk just a little bit. As we will see, there are many different ways that the mere act of talking to the police can get you in a great deal of trouble, even if you do not technically admit your guilt, and it almost does not even matter what you say. The bottom line is clear. Even if you're innocent, the police will do whatever it takes to get you to talk if they think you might be guilty. That includes saying just about anything, no matter how dishonest, to help persuade you that it might be in your best interest to give them a statement. And the courts will generally say whatever they need to say, to excuse that behavior, to excuse the dishonesty on the part of the police. Even if the courts have to say something just as dishonest, this ought to be a national scandal and not swept under the rug the way it is. This is not a legal system that is deserving of our respect, much less our cooperation. If a used sales car and engages in that sort of deception, he will be thrown behind bars. It boggles the mind that we regularly allow police officers to do the same sort of thing to our children. But of course, we're only allowing it because we don't know that it is going on. That's right. You know, wicked deeds that are done in secret. Okay. Let's see. Right. So I'm gonna read Psalm 64 again. It says, "Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword, and bend their bows to shoot their arrow, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him, and fear not. They encourage themselves in evil matters. They commune in lying snares privily." Okay? They say, "Who shall see them?" They search out what iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep, right? You know. So this was there's another point to be made, but I don't want it to be far. The next one is also going to be focused on the same one, the police, and how when they have you when they have you in the interrogation room, if you yo when they have you in the interrogation room and you say everything that supports your innocence, they will not bring that out in court. The only thing they're going to bring out are things that hurt you in court. Okay. As a matter of fact, let me just get the preview right now. It says, "What if you give information to a police officer or any other individual that you think might support your claim of innocence? Will that person be allowed to share that information with the judge or the jury at your trial?" The answer will surprise you. No, almost certainly not. Not unless it hurts your case. Once the case gets to trial, as you know from television, the police and other witnesses are not allowed to share all the information in their possession, not even if they wanted to do so, because they are subject to a collection of rules known as the law of evidence. You see what I told you? These people are not interested in truth and justice. You know, they're just interested in power. Okay? Those rules define certain kinds of information that are inadmissible, and which therefore cannot be revealed to the judge or the jurors who are deciding the case. And one of the most famous of these rules is the law of hearsay, which generally prevents the police from telling the judge about information that they have heard from other witnesses, including, of course, the defendants. So even if your lawyer asks the police officer to tell the jury the helpful things that you told the police to support your claim of innocence, the prosecutor will object, and the judge will usually refuse to allow the officer to answer that question. And I'm going to get more onto that because I don't want this video to be very long. I hope this was very edifying. Hey, there are things going on in this land that should only that um you know like there are things going on in this land that makes this place so polluted that only Yahweh can rid this place of this wickedness. This is embedded. It's deeply rooted in the justice system. This isn't just one cop we're talking about. This isn't just crooked cops that we're talking about. And if we're gonna go on to mention the Obama administration, it goes to the very top. Okay, from the bottom to the top. And we pray that Yahweh comes and establish a righteous kingdom, a kingdom of truth, a kingdom of justice, and a kingdom of a divine kingdom, a kingdom of joy and happiness. Okay, not a kingdom where Jake is walking on eggshells, not a kingdom where Jake is at the mercy of their enemies. Okay, so with that, I hope edification goes out. So the brothers that are listening, I want to say Shalom, Yahweh Bashim Shabrak. To the few alcohols that are also listening in truth and sincerity, I also want to say Shalom. Yahweh. I also want to say Shalom. Yahweh Bashim Shabrak. May the blessing of election be upon all the houses. Hey, and the truth shall flourish, man. All these things are coming out, and this devil is getting exposed. Okay, so again, this is the book. You have the right to remain innocent. Look, I highly recommend this. This is very, very important for brothers to read this book, okay, and understand the nature of this devil. It'll help you a lot, especially whenever something goes off with the Hebrew Israelites, the FBI always want to knock on brothers' doors. Okay, especially after those kinds of incidents, we should be mindful of these kind of things. Now, of course, this isn't what we don't rely on these things. This isn't actually what's going to save us. The knowledge of things like this is not what saves us. It's ultimately how about Shemiel Shai. But you know, it's what it behooves us to walk wisely. It behooves us to grab as much knowledge as we can, right, for the sake of this truth, to help us to maneuver this value of the shadow of death. So on to the next one.